56 years isn't much of a life expectancy for a human these days, but it's a long time for a car nameplate. And 56 is the number that's going to be on the Ford Falcon's headstone when it dies on October 7, 2016. Spanning 8 generations and 24 model series, from the 1960 XK to the 2014 FGX, the Falcon has become part of the fabric of Aussie life, and we have one of every model here. We've holidayed in them, commuted in them, hailed a fair in one, made love in one, and for some of us, been born in a Ford Falcon of some description. So we're here to celebrate the Falcon's contribution to Australia. We have Danny Zuko here, who owns what?
An XL Squire.
And what do you think about the way it drives?
It doesn't drive too bad actually for an old car.
There's still something quaint about this car, even though it was modern when it was new. I was reading an old Wheels magazine test about the power in this car, and it said this car is very fast, was the description, and it's a 2-speed automatic that does a 20.6 standing quarter. So 20.6 doesn't sound like very fast to me. And the attention that you get in it, like do people stop and talk about it? Because you never see them anymore.
No, well if you stop it and they look at it and they go, why do they call this a Woody? There's no wood on it, mate.
When it's kind of 55 years old, it's all about the way it looks. And when it comes to looks, nothing looks like a plastic panelled Ford Falcon station wagon, because there's hardly any of them around anymore. Danny Blukic again with his second car of the day, which is?
XW Fairmont.
And so where does your link to the Ford Falcon start in your life?
I was probably about 10-ish. The old man was a mechanic and he always used to bring old Falcons around, and I said to me, one day I'm going to own one.
This is only one generation on from the last Falcon, but honestly, there's a much bigger gap than just 8 years. This is the beginning of the Falcon for Australia, and it just feels broad on the road. You've got an awesome view. You feel much safer in the car, like it feels safe. Now we have Nick Blukic here, and this is Nick's XA Falcon. What exactly XA are we looking at, Nick?
It's a 351 manual GS Fairmont.
And you've had it for how long?
13, 14 years now.
So, 3rd generation Falcon. Only 3 years difference between this and the XW we were in last time, but a tougher, more encapsulated kind of vehicle, as was the style at the time. This is Chris Van Garns, and this is his XD Fairmont Gear 5.8 4-speed manual. And so, where did your story in Falcon start?
Dad, uncles, aunties, both sides of the family were Ford, so yeah, it just runs through the veins.
So we've jumped another generation, this time at the beginning of generation 4, which is an XD, and was rumoured to be the last Falcon, last Aussie-made Falcon, the last Falcon of all time, in 1979, 1980, and here we are in 2016, mourning that moment, 36 years later. This is Mark Blukic, it's Nick's brother who owns the XA, and we have here an ED Falcon XR8 Sprint. And it's not the only Falcon you own, is it? You own another Falcon?
I own an XP Ute, and I've also got an XR Falcon race car, a track car.
So if you look back on it, this is probably the first real Falcon to jump into a modern generation as the generations went along. Yeah, she's a sweetie, this one. It's a keeper, the XR8 Sprint, absolutely. And it's this car that inspired the last Falcon. What's your emotion about the Falcon going? Like, you know, it's part of, it seems like it's part
Well,
of
it's very sad to see him go,
yeah.
you know. Really an Australian icon. I mean, they made them for so long. I'd love to see that they still kept making them, but,
yeah.
but you know, if they're not selling them, well, I guess they're not going to make them.
Yeah.
So.
We just grew up with Falcons. Now that they're stopping them, yeah, very, very sad. Yeah. Hard to believe, really.
Throughout my whole life, my family's had Falcons and just grown up with them, so it's a very sad day, and it's like a death of a member in the family, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I reckon it's the best car they've ever built and then decide to shut down. It's crazy. I don't understand that.
The Ford Falcon might be knocking on death's door, but people's passion for this iconic slice of Australian motoring history means the Falcon spirit will definitely live on. There's so much love for these iconic cars, and I reckon we'll still see Falcon on our road in 56 years' time.